What excuses do I use so that I don't have to do what God asked me to do? Hi, I'm Brant, and this week's verse is Luke 5:5. But instead of starting right there, I thought we'd back up to the beginning of the chapter to get a little bit of context. Jesus is teaching by the lake of Gennesaret, and there are a lot of people around to hear him teach. Luke records that they were pressing in on him and crowding around him. So we see him do what he does a couple times when he's preaching by lakes, and he just gets up into a boat to preach from there instead. Now this boat is Peter's boat. He fishes from it, and so when Jesus is done teaching, he tells Peter to go out onto the lake and go catch some fish. Now this is not a crazy request. Peter's a fisherman. This is something he does all the time. And so here's verse 5. Here's where we pick up in our story. And Simon Peter answered, "Master, we have worked all night and we haven't caught anything." So to go back to my question from earlier, what excuses do I use so that I don't have to do what God has asked me to do? Peter was probably tired. They've been out all night. They haven't caught anything, so he's probably frustrated. How many times do I look for an excuse to not do something that I know I should be doing? I had a super long week, so I'll just skip church. I'm not going to go on Sunday. I'll hit it next week. It's fine. I'm not going to read my Bible today because I'm too busy. I've got so many other things to do. And then you realize it's been a whole week since you have actually sat down to read it. Or, I'm not going to sit really and pray because I feel like I'm just doing nothing. And you realize that you're only praying when you need something from God instead of praying to have a conversation with God. I know I've fallen into this trap many times, and it can be hard to get back out again once you're in that headspace, and because it's just so much easier to stay on that path of not doing anything than to add one more thing to your schedule. But let's take a look at the rest of verse 5, the rest of Peter's response. "But because you have said so, I will let down the nets." Obedience is Peter's full response. He does it in spite of his excuses, in spite of all the reasons he has to not do something. And then look what happens as we move on into verse 6. "And when they had done this, they enclosed such a large number of fish that their nets were breaking. They signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and help them, and they came and filled both of the boats so that they began to sink. And when Simon Peter saw this, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, 'Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord.' And Jesus said to Simon, 'Do not be afraid, for from now on you will be catching men.' And when they had brought their boats to land, they left everything and followed him." To me, these verses are pointing out that while we may think we have a lot of reasons to not do what God is calling us to do, it's just so much better if we just do it. This should be our response whenever we don't feel like doing something that God has asked of us. Just do it anyway. Don't hesitate, just do. Because Peter did what Jesus asked in this small instance, he got to take part in this amazing experience and go on to do so much good with Jesus and beyond. Just imagine what God could use us for if we would take the time to do the little things right. So I hope that you'll work with me to become more intentional about doing these little things right. Let me know in the comments some ways that help keep you on the right track so that I can try them out. I hope you guys have a great week.